Hello, my name is Leslie Hollis, and I will be giving Kolaimni treatments here at the center during the months of March, April, and May. And because many of you may not be familiar with Kolaimni, we've invited my teacher, Marie-Helene Turen, here to tell us a little bit more about Kolaimni and give some insights about this energy healing modality. Welcome, Marie-Helene.
Thank you, Leslie.
So let's start with the obvious question, what is Kolaimni?
Well, Kolaimni is an energy healing technique. It is a technique that involves the energy of the primordial level of life, the light. And it is a no-touch technique, so the person who receives the treatment doesn't have to undress or be touched. And it is a very gentle and yet very powerful technique.
Yes. And before you studied Kolaimni yourself, did you have any experience with any other energy work?
No, it was the first time I used an energy work technique. I mean, this was the first time I did something that was a healing modality that used my hands. I never did anything else before or after.
I should mention my background is in Reiki. I'm a Reiki master and also studying with the Healing Touch Ministries at a Trinity Episcopal Church. So I had some experience with energy healing modalities before studying Kolaimni, but I must say that Kolaimni has a different feel to it. And maybe you can describe a little bit about that.
In terms of comparing Kolaimni with Reiki, I could not, since I have never practiced it. I have received it though, but a lot of people that I've taught were Reiki masters, and they all said the same thing. They said Kolaimni is more powerful and more gentle. One person said actually Kolaimni is something that you are, Reiki is something that you do. So I can only give you what was given to me because I have no experience myself.
Yes, I would agree. I believe Kolaimni, it's a different feeling when you're giving the treatment. That you're enveloped in. Kolaimni works with the etheric layer. So if any of you out there are familiar with energy healing modalities, we work with the body about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So we're massaging this area. Some may call it part of the aura. And if you're watching this at home, you can sort of hover your hand in that space and you'll start to feel that transfer of energy. And then when you're working with someone else, it intensifies and you may start to pick up feelings of where someone may have had a past injury or things like that are often possible. But a very valuable effect is that people find it very relaxing and very calming. Would you agree?
Yes, very calming, and actually Kolaimni includes a variety of modalities. There's the basic Kolaimni that is an all over the body kind of massage, and then there are specific modalities within Kolaimni. They always use that same method, but they're more targeted, like for pain reduction, for emotional instability, for there's relaxation, there's for bleeding, there's for all kinds of things, high blood pressure. So you use the technique in different ways to address different things, or you do the whole Kolaimni to start with, which is really a very
all-body treatment.
The all-body treatment is really wonderful.
And so now we're talking about a few physical things like bleeding or specific issues. Kolaimni is offered as a healing modality, and could you talk a little bit about the difference between healing versus curing?
Yes, healing is bringing relief. And with Kolaimni, we can say that it can be either one, really. But when we work with Kolaimni, what we do really is that we enliven the more basic level of our own reality, of our own body. We are all physical bodies. We have a physical body. But that physical body, when you work in terms of when you study physics, now physicists are finding that the field is the most fundamental level of life. And it is a field of energy. It is basically the matrix of the universe. Now, we have that matrix of the universe deep inside us. It is part of us, because if it weren't, we wouldn't be here. It's the basis of everything. And in scriptures, in the experience of mystics, this has been described as the universal light. The end there was light, that basic reality of life. So that basic reality of life is all around us, everywhere, and within us. That's what we use. So we connect to that, and then we use that to massage that same level, that same fundamental level of life in the other person. And what this does is energizes all the healing principles, all of the healing mechanisms that are inherent within that matrix of our body. And that is what brings the healing. Because that level, that basic level, is enlivened. And within that are all the mechanisms of preservation, of healing.
So it sort of wakes up that innate
It wakes up.
ability of the body to heal itself.
That's an excellent way of putting it. Yes, it does do that. And so the important thing is that a kolaimnist, we call a kolaimnist the person who gives kolaimni, who has been trained to do that, does not heal anybody. Like a doctor doesn't heal somebody either. It is the body heals itself. And so by that enlivening of that level, that basic level of life, the body would heal itself. Now, to what extent, that depends on the body. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference. You know, you're talking about the difference between healing and curing. There, Kolaimni will bring a relief. Will that relief get to the point of curing the situation? In some extent, in some situations, yes.
And you've actually experienced
I have experienced that. There is no question about that. It is possible, but it is not predictable. It depends on what the body will do with what is given.
And does it matter if the person themselves, say someone says, I don't really believe in this, but I would like a treatment. Mm-hmm. Their belief in it or not really has no bearing on, on the treatment?
Like I said, it is a completely natural process that uses physical mechanisms of the body, just like dropping an apple. It doesn't make any difference whether I believe that the apple will drop. If I hold it and open my hand, it will drop. It does not depend on my belief. It's the same thing with Kolaimni.
Kolaimni is like gravity.
It is like gravity. It is, it is not some of those supernatural things, which when you think about it, there can be no supernatural things in life. They can only be natural phenomena that we don't understand.
True, yes.
And Kolaimni is definitely only, using natural law, the laws of nature. And that's the way it works.
And you also you teach Kolaimni. So there are different levels of Kolaimni. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I teach in 3 segments. The first course, I teach the basic Kolaimni, also called the Kolaimni 1, and several other smaller modalities like an emotional and I don't remember exactly what's in there, but there's a variety of things, and we study that for a weekend. And at the end of the weekend, the person can do everything that is taught in that course. And it since you took
studying, yes, it was incredible. Many of the people attending had never practiced any kind of energy medicine, and they were quite wonderful at giving treatments. It's amazing. It
is. When a person learns, they know it. By the end of the weekend, they just know it. It's not like maybe, no, it's done. And then I teach another course, which is just one day, some more modalities. And then there is the advanced Kolaimni, and that is another weekend. And then that's it.
And the upper level involves a little more intensity into working with the body more closely, but still not, it's a non-touch.
It's always non-touch.
Non-touch modality.
Non-touch. And the thing that is fantastic with the Kolaimni too is that you can work distance. And I know this is a concept that sometimes people are says like, what? But when you think about it, when you think of how it functions and what it uses, that level of the field, that level of the universal light is everywhere. Everywhere in the cosmos at once.
And so we're really talking about quantum physics.
It is quantum physics.
Yeah.
And so when you work from that level, you can reach anybody from anywhere. Actually, one of the things that I would really like to do, I would like to try working on somebody in a space station. I'd like to see what the experience is.
Right.
In
real time.
In real time. I mean, 95% of the work I do is distance.
So most of the clients that you see they live miles and miles away across the globe.
Yeah, they live across the globe, but even people who live in the same town that I do, they like distance better.
So they can just be comfortable in their home and they can have the treatment wherever.
Yes, so we make an appointment and then I do my work on them at the same time, and then they call me and they tell me, wow.
It's quite fascinating. I have done some distance healing treatments for family members who really had no interest in this whatsoever. Mm-hmm. They thought it was a little too much for them to comprehend until they had a treatment. And so now they, if something's going on, if they have a little pain, they give me a call.
Of course.
So yeah, it's wonderful.
I always say there should be one Kolaimnist in each family at least.
And maybe two.
And maybe
right?
two, because when the one Kolaimnist is sick, then you want somebody to take care of this person, even though you can practice Kolaimni on yourself. That's really a big thing too.
I know that brings up another topic, self-care.
Yeah, so self-care.
Kolaimni is very good for self-care.
It's very important. And I use it mostly as preventive. And actually there was a time when I did not use it at all, when I had a restaurant and I was working like mad. I didn't use it.
And you knew Kolaimni.
I knew Kolaimni.
You didn't use it for yourself.
I didn't use it for myself. I ended up at Mercy Hospital. But
now you do treatments for yourself on a semi-regular basis. I would say this is pretty epidemic for most, a lot of people doing healing work, healing touch practitioners, Reiki practitioners. That's kind of where we sort of fall down a little bit. You have to remember to take care of yourself.
And sometimes it's really good to trade with somebody else.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Yes. So, somebody say, okay, I'll give you a treatment, you give me a treatment, and like that.
That's always nice.
Yeah, it's always very nice, very nice.
People often ask, how much does Kolaimni cost? How much does the treatment cost?
So the Kolaimni is very different in this sense from what is practiced nowadays. Kolaimni is a very ancient technique, and it respects the way people were expressing their gratitude in the past when a health provider would work for them or healer would work for them. So it means that you cannot ask for anything specific. You cannot ask anything for Kolaimni. Kolaimni is a gift. When it's given without any expectation, no strings attached. It's a gift of life to itself.
So when someone requests the treatment, you
give
set the time and you just do it.
Yes. Now the person is allowed to express their gratitude with a gift, and the person who gives Kolaimni is allowed to receive it. So it can be money, or it can be service, it can be anything, but from the side of the Kolaimnist, not allowed to ask for anything.
And so it's more just on the system of exchange.
It's a system of exchange, donation. When people can't give anything, they don't give anything. People who would like to do something, want to express their gratitude, that allows the Kolaimnist to be available. So there is less financial difficulties. It's just
that's wonderful.
Whatever.
Yes.
Whatever happens is okay.
And that's always good to let the person know.
Oh, yes.
That they're not required, that there's they just come in and receive the treatment.
Absolutely.
That's that.
Absolutely.
And you'll be going on some travels to
Yes.
teach
Yes.
in the spring.
Yes.
So talk
Well,
a little bit more about that, because you said your joy really, you enjoy giving treatments, but your joy comes from teaching.
yes. Well, I mean, I really love giving treatments because, as you know, it's a wonderful experience. But
A
there's
learning
so
experience.
many, yeah, but there's so many people who need it, and there is so few of us. So Kolaimni just came back into this world, into our time in 1981. So it hasn't had time to really spread that much. And there's a lot of people who need treatments. And a lot of times it's people who have situations that the modern medicine doesn't know how to heal. And so I really want to teach it because there's too few of us. There's just too few of us.
And you were introduced to Kolaimni through the founder, or I guess the person who reintroduced this healing modality, Michi Garza.
Yeah, Michi Garza.
And we do need to make a correction. It is listed in the guide as being of Native American origin. Michi Garza herself is of Native American origin. Her background, her mother is Native American. But this modality is just a very ancient healing modality, much like Reiki, that was reintroduced through someone during our century and brought back into practice. So just to clarify.
Actually, it was last century.
Last century.
1981.
Last century.
It's hard to think that way,
So
though.
can you talk briefly about that experience in meeting Michi, like being introduced to Kolaimni?
Yes, it was really wonderful. I met Michi. She came to Fairfield, where I live. And I saw in the paper that she was going to give a talk on this technique, and I thought, that's interesting. So I went to listen to her, and I really liked her, and I really liked what she said, and I really liked that it was natural, down to earth. She was a very down to earth person. I really enjoyed that. My husband is a physicist, so you know, if you talk to me voodoo, it's not going to work. So I was very interested, and also it was a simple thing. You know, I mean, it's something you learn quickly in one weekend.
And your husband took the course.
My husband took the course too, actually. Yes, he did. And I had, my children were young at the time. I had 3 children. And I thought, this is good. And since I am from France and all my family is in France, and there were health situations with the parents in France too, backaches, and my father had bone cancer, and so I thought that was the thing for me. So
A valuable thing,
yeah.
a valuable tool.
And actually it worked really well.
With your family.
Yeah, with my family I've used it a lot.
And as a physicist, what did your husband think? I mean, or did it completely make sense to him because he understands that type of
Yes.
energy?
No, it makes total sense. And actually it's really interesting because there is a quote by Einstein, and I am not going to quote it perfectly, word for word, but it says something like time and space are not realities that we live in, they're modes of thinking. That's what we're used to. We function that way because there's a 1 and a second and a third, there's a sequence. But there is a level of life where there's no sequence.
Where you can go from A to Z instantly.
Well, A to Z is in the same place and everywhere. It's like, is it Rumi or Khalil Gibran who said, you're not a drop of water in the ocean, you have the whole ocean in a drop. And it's the same concept. So yeah, maybe that's what helped me to be comfortable with the concept, being married to a physicist. But for me, it worked really well. My whole family loved it.
That's wonderful. And I look forward to hearing about your teaching experience in France.
Well,
This
yes,
will be
I'm
very
going.
exciting.
Yes.
So Kolaimni Europe.
Kolaimni Europe. Yeah, it's going to start. I've a weekend scheduled for March 23rd and 24th.
Wonderful.
It will be the first time that the course is taught in France. And I'm not aware of I mean, I know there are a few Kolaimnis around the world. And there's in Latin America, there's in Canada, there's a number, because Michi has taught very actively for something like 20
and
years.
She's now in her late 80s?
She just turned 89 and she's still teaching.
Yes.
But not the basic.
Forward to hopefully taking a course with her in
May. Yes,
so.
she's teaching advanced courses only,
Yes.
you know. And we, the teachers, take care of the basic courses.
Wonderful. Well,
Yes.
thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
For coming. And if you'd like to receive a free 30-minute treatment, you can call the center at 319-356-5220 or just stop by the information desk and make an appointment. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you.